Here's what I know. We can surely predict our future with one thing: change nothing. When we want to teach, we want to build a course, we want to have a coaching program, when we want to put ourselves out there, I want you to write down story, teach, tool. The story is really a scene that is going to set up what you're about to teach. So the teach is what you learned from that experience. The last part is the tool. That's the action step. You got to get someone to take an action. Why? Why? The best thing you could do is make a decision in the moment and do something that carries you forward. Not say, oh, that sounded like a good idea. If you leave your life the way it is, it doesn't mean your life is horrific by any means. And please know, I'm not saying that. But if you're meant for more, then you know there's another level, right? There's a change, there's a shift. Here's what I know. We can surely predict our future with one thing: change nothing. Change nothing. You can really predict where you will be in a year from now if you leave things the same. Is that true? We know if we leave it the same, it will be the same next year. But what if we just took a moment and visualized if you took an uncomfortable action? You gain the skills. You keep moving forward. You go against the grain. You step out of the norm. Visualize if you did take the uncomfortable action. What could life look like in a year from now? What would you be doing? What kind of control on your time would you have? Who would you be impacting? Who would you be sharing? Would you be in the middle of a workshop or a mastermind, or would your book be out or your podcast be out? Would you be doing something to share your life experience because someone needs you? You know what screws the turn inside your target. We just got to unlock it, give you a framework. You are enough. You know enough. We've been doing this long enough to see. You just need to know where to start, and you need the framework. The reason we create courses and trainings is because they transform. They get you to work. They get you to implement and make it real. So I want you to be inspired. I want you to be motivated, but take the actions you need to take to move forward. We want to get to the end of our lives and feel like we have a life that was fully lived, don't we? No one would ever want to get to the end of our lives and meet the man or the woman we could have been. When I think about that, that is one of my biggest driving forces in life. I just don't want to get to the end and feel like I missed it. And I would rather do things imperfect. I would rather try and fail than play small on the outside and wish I could get a do-over. We don't get a second chance. Some people take action because they want to move towards pleasure, right? That's like, who am I supposed to be? I'm meant for more. Absolutely, you are. Some people get to take action because they want to move away from something that's uncomfortable. Stepping out, doing your own thing, having the spotlight on you a little bit depending on what direction you go. Telling people in your family, I want to do something for me for once. That's a little uncomfortable. I get that. But wouldn't it be way more uncomfortable to get to the end of your life and realize you played small because of those stupid things, those silly things? I know they're not silly in the moment, but I think at the end of our lives they'd be silly, right? We get to the end of our lives if someone said, you know, if you looked and saw a video of the person you could have been, I think our only wish would be, could I go back? Can I get another shot? I'll be crazy. I'll be more joyful. I'll be more bold. I'll be more courageous. I don't care. I want to do me. Can I do me over? And I think we got that opportunity to start today and say, I'm doing me. Don't let the old beliefs sink back in. This is your time. This is your moment. So when we want to teach, we want to build a course, we want to have a coaching program, when we want to put ourselves out there, I want you to write down story, teach, tool. The story allows you to set yourself up as the expert, to give the person you're teaching the aha moment, to say, oh, that's why. Anybody have anybody in your life when you ask them what time it is, they tell you how to build a watch? They tell you the whole story. You have that friend and you go, how you doing? And an hour later, she's still telling you, or he's still telling you, right? When you think of story, teach, tool, the story is really a scene. You want to write this down. A scene of in your life that is going to set up what you're about to teach. Here's a scene. All true. I had dyslexia in school. My God, reading was brutal. Writing was brutal. And then I got to a certain phase of my life, I wanted to write a book, and I started writing the book. And this is true. Everything I'm telling you is true. I started writing my book. It was the first one. It was called Totally Fulfilled. And I sat down with dyslexia, overwhelmed. I'm trying to type a book from start to finish. And oh my God, as I'm typing, it's like typing squirrel. Oh, I got to go outside and do this. Oh, typing squirrel. Oh, I got to answer emails. Oh, let me go do that thing. And I'm just trying to type and I can't get it done. I'm like, oh, I want this book, and I'm frustrated. Then all of a sudden I realized that maybe I get to do things the way I do things. I love listening to an audiobook. I don't read books. I listen to a book a month, but I don't read them. And I'm like, what if I reversed engineer that? I love talking. Like today, I don't have slides in front of me. I have my journal always that I go over each night. Sometimes I have slides, but most of the time it's all memory because I love to talk about the things I'm good at. So I decided to try something new. And instead of trying to write word for word, I don't have my phone on me, but I grabbed my phone. You know, we all have voice memo in your phone that you can record. I started recording chapters and getting them transcribed. It was the biggest breakthrough ever. And that, plus 7 other steps, that allowed me to write my first book. I say that because who's intrigued to want to know how I did it? Sometimes people tell the whole story. The scene is about the thing you're going to set up. And it sets people up to go, okay, I see it. I want more. But do you understand the story, the intrigue? The story is meant to go, that's how he has multiple New York Times best-selling books and he's got dyslexia. What do you want to hear? Tell me. So do you understand how the scene now sets up the part that you teach? So the teach is what you learned from that experience. So go back to the book. Here's what I learned. Write down your chapters. Write down the things that you love to talk about in no particular order, right? Write them down. If it was my book, Millionaire Success Habits, there was no way in it to make money. It was all the habits of successful people. So I ended up writing down all the things I love to talk about. I love to talk about changing your story. I love to change certain habits in your life and what your beliefs are. All these things. I wrote them down and then I just knew what they were. And every time I had a feeling about one of those chapters, if I was going to talk about joy and what are the habits you can have to have more joy in your life, a day that I was feeling joyful, this is going to sound too simple. A day I was feeling really joyful, I would take my phone and I would go find a quiet spot and I would record for an hour on all the strategies I learned over 37 years on how to be joyful through habits or how to make more money through habits. And I ended up recording each of those chapters. Then I'd send them off to get transcribed. I'd send them off to somebody to clean them up a little. Nowadays, that's next to nothing. You use Otter, you can do it for free. When it come back to me, I didn't even have them laid out in the right way. So the 4th step was I got all the pieces of the puzzle, and then I'm like, oh, that one goes here, and that one goes here, and that goes here, and then I just sewed them together. I had a book that sold 1 million copies. I'm not teaching you how to write a book right now. I'm going pretty fast. But do you see what I mean? I told you the story of dyslexia. Hey, I'm interested. Now I'm just telling you what I learned to get that book written. I'm not a professional author. I mean, I guess I am now, but I didn't go to school and that's not the field I thought. What did I do? I told the story of my life. My book, Millionaire Success Habits, I started off by saying, I watched my mom and dad's habits and it didn't serve them. I loved them dearly and they struggled their whole life. I realized if I was going to have a different life, I had to have different habits. Here's how I found them. Right? Not trying to oversimplify, but most of you will overcomplicate it. You have a scene, a part of your life that made you learn some good stuff. A mess or just something fun. And then you figure out what did you learn and they become your teaching points. The last part is the tool. That's the action step. You got to get someone to take an action. Why? Because when you take an uncomfortable action, you get to move forward. You take a step. When you're in the moment, the best thing you could do is make a decision in the moment and do something that carries you forward. Not say, oh, that sounded like a good idea. I should try these things. I should do this stuff. I should eat better. It's like, no, I went vegan and it lowered my cholesterol. Here's the 5 things I did to go vegan and make my life better. Go in your refrigerator and throw out XYZ. I wrote some things down when it comes to that. It could be a written tool. It could be a video. It could be clean out the pantry. It could be say I'm sorry, say I will, say I don't. Make a phone call, make a list, think, contemplate about this thing. It's really just giving an end cap to take an action.